Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my review for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. This is for episode 11. It's called La Serpiente. And spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen this episode yet, you definitely will want to watch it before you watch this review. So this episode, man, I didn't have very, high expectations for this episode because it is episode 11, and a lot of times this is kind of the part of the season for, the original series with Walking Dead, as well as with Fear, that you get a little bit of drag. You get a few episodes here where, not a lot happens, the plot doesn't progress that much. I mean, seasons and seasons of The Walking Dead are just like this. Episodes 10, 11, 12, somewhere around here, there's usually kind of a dip in the season as things are going through. But this episode was actually great. I mean, from the beginning to end, I really like the usage of the music throughout. It's been interesting with Fear, the different choices for music they use. Sometimes they're a bit strange. They're usually stuff that I'm not familiar with personally. But it's really cool. It definitely adds to the feel for the episodes. And we saw really a lot of stuff happen in this episode. We start the episode off, and of course they're trying to get water. So you have, in this episode, focuses on Strand, Madison, Walker. We don't get to see the ranch this week, which I actually liked quite a bit because we've seen so much of it lately. I felt like it was a really good kind of a switch up in terms of environment for us to get out there in the zombie apocalypse a little bit in this episode and see some different locations, whether it be kind of on the road with just a whole bunch of zombies around, whether it be in a sewer, which is pretty cool, or at the dam. And, we've been wondering for a while, of course, how the dam was going to how Daniel's story from this season was going to intersect with Madison, the ranch, Walker, and everything that's been happening there. And we're really starting to see these elements come together now. We're starting to see, both storylines cross over. And it felt very smooth, I want to say, because it makes a lot of sense, of course, if you're going to be in that part of the, the country, or if you're going to be, right at the border there, that the problems they face are going to be different in terms of the environment than what our group is used to in the regular Walking Dead. So this kind of idea that the Water Queen, or this idea that whoever holds the dam is going to be like a zombie apocalypse kingpin if they can hold it, right? As we saw before with Dante, before he was kind of taken out, you really got that sense from him that he was like really strong, really strict, maybe a little bit too. And now we get the sense from Lola that maybe she's a little bit too on the other side of that. She's too nice to everybody, and Daniel and the others are trying to say, like, well, be careful, because what you have is so valuable, people are going to want to take it. We did a Q&A this week where we talked about the trading post and the value of gold in a zombie apocalypse, which of course we know, a lot of the characters in this world at this time don't know, that things are never really going to go back to the way they were. So that gold is really not useful. But in terms of resources and where they're located, that dam full of water is going to be just, so valuable because people need that. And, with regards to trade, but there's also things at the dam that they really don't have. They don't have the ability like the ranchers do to, produce food, and they don't have stockpiles of weapons to the same extent that the ranch does have. And of course, if you're going to want to hold the water, you're going to want to keep it secure because people are going to try to take it from you. It's kind of like you're sitting on, if you're playing Monopoly, you got Boardwalk and everybody's like, the most valuable spot, and people are, it's going to be something that people are going to want to try to take for themselves, territory that they're going to want, because they're going to need it too, especially those that have big groups. We get kind of the sense in this episode that Daniel is kind of Lola's enforcer, or he's kind of her strength. And without him, she doesn't really seem to have much in the way of being able to protect herself. So, I really like this one, just the way everything kind of came together. You got Ophelia, who, sometimes she feels out of place to me. Like last season, she just kind of feels like she's there. But I really like what they've done with her this season. And of course, that crossing over with Daniel's story that he's been looking for all the way through. And now he has an opportunity to see her again and everything, and just the way it's all fitting together here, and the story's really coming together in this episode is it's fantastic. Also, I liked Walker in this one a lot because it's Walker is a very interesting character. A lot of the characters in Fear are. They're not black and white like in, even some of the characters in Walking Dead. Governor is pretty much evil all the time. He's scary, he's intimidating, he's evil straight through. But Walker is, he's got a lot of different sides to him in this one, and that's true as well too. Just because someone is a very strong leader and threatening and very fearsome and brutal when he needs to be, or if he gets into a situation with another group where they're kind of going to war and this stuff is going on, it doesn't mean that he can't be happy at the same time too, though, right? Because maybe not at the same time in terms of what he's doing. If he's in battle, he's probably not going to be happy. But at the end of this episode, we kind of see him smile at the end because she accomplishes the mission and everything. And also, it's a lot more promising than them just trading once for some gold to get some water. In this case, now you have an option to maybe set up a systematic, back and forth kind of deal, trade, more consistent type of trade. So I really like what they did with Walker. At the beginning, I was like, this character doesn't feel like the same guy that was scalping dudes earlier, but then there's certain conversations that come in that really make sense. Like, you get to see, like, he's just hanging out, he's chilling around with the others, he's by himself, he doesn't have all of his support network around, so he's not that fearsome at this time. But then Daniel talks to him, and you get a great line here where Walker's explaining that she's this hero, and you start to see kind of that twisted side to him come out as well too, where he's like viewing her in such high regard, like she's this hero, as he's telling her dad that he basically, as we know, poisoned the people of the ranch with anthrax. So it's just it's really interesting to see Walker in these different types of situations and kind of the different sides of him, because right now he's like an ally, but he clearly is not a good guy, at least not from the battle that was going on before and everything was happening between the ranch and them. Also, he is ready, instantly when things are not working out, he's ready to kick the ranchers out. He's ready to say, well, my people come first, you guys are gonna, we're gonna kick you out, basically. So things are gonna get bad, and you would think that of him too. That's, as a leader, he's gonna want to protect his people in that. So he's just got some interesting sides to him, and it really echoes back to if you're in an extreme state of scarcity, how it affects people and how people change when they don't have enough, when they're starving or they're dying of thirst. They get really desperate. If things are good and you got all the water and you got everything going well, that even someone like Walker can be happy, regardless of what happened earlier on the season and what he did, what he used Ophelia to do, and all the other things that he's done that are, at least in his introduction, very, very brutal. So long story short, I love what they did with Walker in this episode. It was really cool to see some different sides to him, all kind of at once, that we hadn't really seen too much up until this point. Also, Strand had a really cool one, and we got to see kind of his value and how useful Strand is, because he's very, very clever, and he's able to pull stuff off, like the doctor thing, and he really... He's really a sly dude. Last Serpiente is the name of the episode, and Dan doesn't trust him at all, which is always fun, right? A friendly face will slip a knife in your back, that type of thing. And he's kind of the way he looks at him and everything. I love kind of the way they play off each other. And Daniel just really, you can tell he really hates Strand. Like, he just despises Strand, but he has to tolerate him because he's part of the the original group from earlier on in the series, and he's still involved still with Ophelia and the others. So I really liked what they did with him, the explosion and everything like that. That was a nice kind of little mini twist in the episode where you're not sure what's happening, and Daniel's like looking at him like he knows he's up to something. He knows he's got some ideas spinning around in there that he's going to do something. So Daniel kind of lets him know subtly that if something does happen, okay. And then kind of maybe gives him a hint by singing the "Down with the Water Queen" thing, which is what the people have been saying or singing. The people that are not able to get enough, or that are want to have more free access to the water. So I really like the explosion. I really like how that all worked out. It was just really, really a nice little twist in the episode, and just a lot of great banter between the two of them, between Daniel and Walker, and then Madison as well too, getting to kind of know Lola and letting her know that she has to be people. It's going to get ugly at some parts. There's going to be blood one way or another, and Lola wants to kind of keep everybody, drinking, keep everybody, healthy and everything, and do the best she can for her city. So there's some really great lines in this one. I really liked a lot. Like, you're trying to save your family or your kids. I'm trying to save my city, right? And save children, trying to save my city. So there's some really, really great stuff that I recall seeing in a lot of the trailers or the teasers for this season. And it was really great to see just some of these great moments kind of come forward for us. So all throughout, I thought the episode was really great. It had good pacing. You had the nice kind of adventure part at the beginning where they're going through the sewer and it's kind of like really dark and stinks and everything. And they have to tear apart the zombie. They got to like cut it apart in order to kind of get through, because it's like it's blocking. It's all like blocked in, right? And they're able to get through okay. So a promising episode for the rest of the season. Looks like they're going to be meeting at this trading post, which I'm thinking that may be where one of our big villains comes from for the season. They did say that we're going to be introduced to kind of a major villain for Fear coming up pretty soon, or someone's going to become a major villain for Fear. We'll have to see if it's Troy, or we'll have to see if maybe somebody at this trading post that seems to be right in the middle from where each of them are. You got to think that people at the trading post are going to know, like, that's the people from the dam. And, as water becomes more scarce, they're just going to start looking like, are we going to do something like, we're going to overthrow her, take it over something, get her or something. So, so really good setup for the end of the season. And we'll have to see, who kind of steps up here and becomes kind of one of our big bads right now. So I think that's most of what I want to say about the episode. It was a great episode. I'm going to give it a 9.7 out of 10. I thought it was awesome. Some of the zombies in that, I would say, did leave a little to be desired. Maybe the zombies in Fear are not quite as good as the zombies in The Walking Dead. Or maybe it's just the angles and that kind of thing. I'm not sure. But, they're covering a lot. The pacing's very fast. You can picture like the original Walking Dead, if they were to do an episode like this. A lot of times, you'd have like a whole episode where they might be there, or a couple, and then they leave a couple episodes later. But with the pacing that Fear has set this season, you get to see them, travel there, on the road there, get there, kind of all those important scenes, and then leave all at once with some music mixed in, that kind of thing, and maybe a change in Walker, or Walker start to kind of trust or like Madison a little bit more than he does already, which is interesting as well too. So all in all, I love the episode. I am excited for the rest of the season. Next week's episode is called Brother's Keeper, so I'll be back soon for my predictions for that. Thought this one was awesome. Really awesome. You guys can write your comments below. Let me know what you thought about the episode, how you feel about the character dynamics, and the just all around kind of the feel of Fear, the way it moves fast. Like, it moves very fast. There's not a lot of lag time. Even in an episode 11, you're getting to see a really great episode, I want to say. So let me know what you guys think. And if you like this video, please don't forget, thumb it up below. You can also share and favorite. And if you're new and you want to subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. You can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.